This episode of the Real Estate Ripple is brought to you by the CHAR YPN Committee. Calling all CHAR members and guests, it's time to celebrate big at the annual YPN Birthday Bash. Join us on Thursday, February 27th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Shanahan Lanes, located at 25306 West Eames Street in Shanahan. We're bringing the party to the lanes with bowling, networking, and a whole lot of fun. Tickets are $25 per person and include bowling, food, and of course, birthday cake. Plus, there will be a cash bar and exciting raffles throughout the night. Whether you're coming to show off your strikes or just cheer on your friends, this event is all about connecting, celebrating, and having a blast. Grab your tickets now on our website at trarealtors.net or by calling the CHAR office at 815-744-4520. Don't miss out. Mark your calendars for February 27th, and we'll see you at the YPN Birthday Bash at Shanahan Lanes. Let's roll.
Welcome to the Real Estate Ripple, where every conversation makes waves in the world of real estate. I'm Christy.
I'm Joe.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Carl. And each week we bring you the latest insights, expert advice, and game-changing tips on everything from market trends and lending strategies to local developments right here in Joliet and beyond.
Whether you're a seasoned realtor, a mortgage pro, or just passionate about property market, this podcast is the one that's going to keep you informed and inspired.
So let's dive in and make some ripples together.
Good day, everybody. It's a fantastic day here at Three Rivers Association of Realtors, and we are recording our podcast with some special guests. We have Terrell and Danielle Schell. Terrell and Danielle, say hello real quick.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
We're excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation, Joe, Carl, and the Three Rivers Association.
You're very welcome. Glad you're here. And for those that you don't know, my name is Joe Madrano. I'm one of the podcast hosts at Three Rivers Association of Realtors with my co-host,
Mr. Carl McGee.
Mr. McGee himself.
And I also want to extend my gratitude to the Shells for coming out this morning.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Carl.
So, audience members, we have a topic that we want to cover in a very timely manner. As you know, February every year is Black History Month, and we have invited the Shells to come in and just kind of share their story, their background, their impact on the community and what they're doing. They're movers and shakers, and I can't wait to kind of dive in. So, Terrell and Danielle, let's just kind of start by a very brief intro and background of who you are. Obviously you're real estate agents, you're a husband and wife team. Why don't you share with us, a little bit about your family and why you guys decided to jump into real estate?
Well, I'll let my wife go first. Go right ahead.
Terrell and I are local residents of Joliet, and we have been because we met at Lewis University. And we decided to raise our family in the same area that we graduated from college. So we've been in Joliet, we've been working in Joliet, and we purchased our home in Joliet. And we've worked several years as tax advisors with H&R Block.
Long time.
We're in tax season now. So it's very nice that we were able to move our schedule around to even meet today. So we have been working in H&R Block, and we met an amazing tax professional, Dale Johns, and he told us during the pandemic, hey, why don't y'all take the real estate class and come on over and work for our company? And we're like, and do what, Dale? Like, we're just doing taxes. He said, no, you guys could do real estate. And we're like, okay. So we took the class and got our license 3 years ago, and really we've been rolling ever since. Didn't realize the influence that we have built from our tax associates and network that has been able to translate in our real estate. So we have been agents. We're not a team, but we work together. We literally work together in real estate, work together in taxes. We've been married over 25 years this year.
Working together in life.
We work together in life. And I feel like that's the foundation of homeownership and the foundation of our history. Partnership the push and pull of our relationship has always built success for us. So I hope I answered your question
Yes, you
as to
did. That
how.
that was a wonderful introduction and gives our listeners some great insight as to, your background professionally. You've got a family. I follow you guys on social media, and
Oh,
I'll tell you what, your family just, they're so amazing. I thank you for sharing that out there. So if you're not following the Shells, follow them on the socials because they are an interesting family-oriented family. So Danielle, you kind of mentioned about, the transition between your tax profession and into real estate. And to kind of like highlight what we're doing here today, do you guys know the statistic of how many Black African Americans are actually homeowners here in the state of Illinois?
Yes, so currently right now the statistics show that it's probably about 40% home ownership for Black people. In 2021, it was about 39%. So really increased maybe less than 1%. Um, and when you look at our counterpart, the white population right now, their home ownership is about 72%. So do we have some work to do, Danielle? We have some work to do.
we do. And I feel like even our story, we've owned two homes. And our first home that we owned was in our 20s. We owned a business. Our kids were small and didn't quite understand the full spectrum of the loan that we acquired and how mortgages worked, how payments work. We had two mortgages. We had an interest only mortgage. We had our property taxes separate from the mortgage, and it all collapsed.
So we were set up for failure. I mean, and this
Yeah.
happened in 2007. We purchased a home, so we
Yeah, I
all
was
know
going
what
to
happened
ask
around
what
there.
year that was. I was going to ask what year that
Yeah.
was. That sounds right about that time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, 2007, and like I said, we had 100% financing. Didn't have to put any money down. It was a stated bank loan because we were self-employed. But the interest rates then, the first mortgage about 7.5%. The second was like 11%. So we drowned fairly quickly
Yeah.
in that particular situation.
Yeah.
But
So I'm sorry, back in 2007, 2008, right around that time, that was very prevalent with subprime mortgages. And I remember writing loans in that time frame. They were very aggressive, and Wall Street they had an appetite for those loans, and that's why it was being offered to the general public. And today, those loans are considered predatory. After the whole debacle of 2007, 2008, when the mortgage and real estate and banking business, the industry, shut down. As we emerged out of that, it was very heavily regulated now. Ever since then, because of that, because we're trying to protect homeowners from being in situations like that, and there's a lot of legislation, a lot of paperwork, a lot of disclosure going around that now. So yeah, so the mortgages now are designed to set you up for success and not for failure. You won't find any of those types of loans, 100% financed, interest only, adjustable rate mortgages, because Terrell, you mentioned that first mortgage was probably 7+%. That was probably good for 1 or 2 years, and after that, it starts adjusting. Probably with a prepayment penalty. There's nothing like that now on the market for that. Okay. So, you mentioned there's 44% of Black African Americans that are homeowners. So that is of the Black population that's out there. 44% of them are Black, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't think that number is as telling as those that want to be homeowners, but just have the miseducation of homeownership. Because generationally, if Big Mama didn't own a home, if their mom didn't own a home, then the education of homeownership is just has lacked in the community. But I'll have to say the generational curse or the break in that would have to start with an example of our family where we're homeowners and we've owned at least two homes, and now our daughter thanks to Joe, will be working together. Could potentially be a homeowner, and she's under 25. She'll be under 25. So it's all about education and the miseducation about homeownership as well. But I think
Yes.
that's prevalent in any community.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally agree with you on that. Carl, do you have anything to add to that at all? It looks like you're probably, there you go. You're unmuted now.
Yeah, actually, picking up where she was just that issue that she just brought up. Um, I just came up with a good idea, and maybe we should start encouraging real estate agents to visit elementary schools and high schools, and basically encourage these kids about getting good credit and eventually one day taking on home ownership.
Yeah, Terrell and Danielle, just because I'm nosy and I'm always following you guys on social media, didn't you guys do that at one point in time? Start going out to the schools and you were doing credit education and things like that?
So yes, as a part of H&R Block, we always wanted to reach back to the community. So we did different events at colleges, high schools to educate about basic credit. You need credit to purchase a home. You need money saved up. Don't live off of every dime that you make. And I really believe that right now we need more that especially the high school level. We are not equipping our 18 years when they graduate for life. I mean, we are teaching classes, but are we teaching life? And we need to get back to the basics. So when they graduate, whether they go to college or go to trade school, whatever the case may be, they can have the knowledge of, instead of me renting, let me own. And that's what we have been developing in our children in our home. When you leave mama and papa house, you need to go buy your own house. Why make somebody else a millionaire when you can make yourself a millionaire owning your biggest asset of your life?
And
Yes.
our kids, we promised them, and we also did some mentorship this summer with our real estate company, with John's Real Estate Home Services. We did the class. We actually explained to them about taxes, and then Christina, our manager broker, and our intern, our daughter, the youngest Shell, baby Shell, was sharing in regards to the entire summer about credit repair. But I was saying what? What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying.
Hey, Joe.
Well, you know what?
We're talking about our kids. Our kids, we promised them when we purchased a home that we would go on vacation. And that was the incentive for Terrell and I to, when we lost our home in 2007, we recovered another home that we had rented for 4 years. So the home that we've owned since 2016, we were actually the renters of since 2012. And Terrell, after like 2014, he couldn't sleep, feeling like if this landlord sold this house, his family would be homeless. And we worked for over a year just to establish ourselves,
yes,
and purchase the home that we rented. That's
Oh my
what I
God.
was ending this.
I'm so glad and happy that you're sharing this because people need to hear that real estate agents and we on the podcast and people that you look up to, we're all people. We carry burdens, we carry struggles. Life is about struggles and the wins, right? And every time you have a struggle, it's okay to struggle, but don't stay there for too long. But when you emerge out of that, you got to learn from it and then apply it so that you can improve yourself. So I didn't know that you guys lost that home back from 2007. So thank you for sharing that and for being vulnerable and for just opening yourself up. You are real people, I kind of shared a similar story in an earlier podcast of my story when I bought my first home. If you haven't heard it, go back to the earlier podcast, and it was a struggle. So my next question to you, and this is so fitting because we talked about credit education, we talked about what you guys are doing, and all this kind of stuff. And Carl, thank you for bringing that up. But what I wanted to ask is, what challenges do we see still prevalent in today that are preventing, Blacks, or for that matter, everybody, from being able to purchase a home? What are the challenges and struggles that we're faced up against?
Well, I think the first thing is, and the biggest thing is education.
Yeah.
When we come across individuals who don't own a home, we ask them, so have you thought about purchasing a home? The first thing they say, I don't know where to start. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
process. I don't know what it takes. Or they may come back and say, I don't have money to purchase a home. We hear that a lot. And we come back at them and saying, well, you have to prepare. Anything you want to take on, there's a preparation period. You have to establish credit. You have to save your money. But you have to get the education on where to start. And we always point our potential buyers. First thing we want to do is see what your buying power is.
Right.
Let's get you hooked up with a lender like Mr. Joe Madrano, and let's see what work needs to be done.
Shameless
Are
plug.
are you ready now, or will you be ready in 6 months to a year? But we have to learn to start somewhere. And the
Yes.
problem that we have is that, especially in the Black community, we don't want to start. We are scared still. We are in the same mindset of our parents and our grandparents, because to this day, my father still rents. My father will be 78 this year, and he still rent a home. My grandmother wanted to purchase a home, but my grandfather was not interested in doing it. So we have to now educate our community on home ownership. It's not like it used to be. Redlining is not as prevalent as it was in the 30s.
Mm.
We have the opportunity to purchase,
Yes.
but we have to do the homework and we have to do the preparation.
Yes. You know, I think, go ahead, Danielle.
I think it goes back to being transparent too, sharing the stories of our failures, sharing our mistakes,
Yes.
and then also sharing the losses, but also applying the losses to the wins. Because we
Right.
sometimes we rehearse the negative and forget the win.
Mm-hmm. Danielle, that brings up a good point. And I think when I'm working with a brand new homeowner or a brand new prospective homeowner, somebody who's not yet an owner, and they come to me the first time, I could feel the nervousness. I can feel the fear and the terror that's going through their mind. How do I know? Because I've been there. You know, you don't know what questions to ask. You're afraid to ask because you're afraid to look stupid. You're afraid to make the wrong move. You're afraid to trust, right? Like the people that I'm going to confide all my financial information to, the people that I'm going to call my agents, like Carl or Danielle or Terrell, they need to know that they can trust you, right? So I think the storytelling helps, getting them to know that you're real people just like them. You've struggled and you made it, and that you're there to help, right? So I think in my practice, I see a lot of that as one of the barriers to home ownership is the belief that you actually can be a homeowner. And Terrell, you brought up the fact that there's some generational curses that kind of go along with that. It's deeper than credit, income, down payment. It's deeper than that. It's more so than mindset, right? Like my parents have bad, old habits. I mean, it worked for them in their generation, but it doesn't work in, 2000s, right? So I totally understand. Carl, is there anything you want to add into that?
I was just going to say that everything that I heard today was very positive, uplifting, and I also have a saying that we're all going to fall down, but what's going to determine your character is how quickly you get right back up.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are still definitely some of the challenges, and I agree with you that the education piece is right. Terrell, you talked about finding out where you're at right now. The biggest pet peeve for me is when a real estate agent sends me a prospective homeowner and you want them to get pre-approved, and then I'm working with them, and in the middle of the process they pull the plug in and say, "Oh, I'm not ready." Well, I haven't even pulled your credit yet. How do you know you're not ready? Or it might be I pull their credit and I talk to them and say, we need to kind of work things through. And here's the blueprint. You don't want to be a renter forever. Yes, you might have to rent still now this year, but make a commitment that this is going to be the last year you're going to rent, right? you use the time and look at that as a blessing that you have a roof over your head and you have the ability for the next 12 months, because you might have just renewed your lease, work for the next 12 months so that when the 11th, 12th month come around and it's time to renew the lease, you're not having to renew anymore because you've been working for the last 12 months, preparing yourself, just like what Terrell said. You have to prepare. You have to know what to work on. And another pet peeve that I have, which is a barrier here, is when a client comes to me and says, "Oh, just hypothetically, I've got a 550 credit score. Okay, let me help you. Let me get your credit report and let me go through it with you. I'll get on Zoom call and kind of go through all that." And they're like, "No, I'm good." Well, you don't know what to work on. You might be working on the wrong thing. You might be pouring your money on something in your credit report, you thinking that you're going to fix it, but if you used those funds to fix something else, that would give you a better credit score increase. So there's a slow way to do it and there's a long way to do it. And that comes with education, to your point, right?
So I think that's why I really do appreciate, and I'm glad we're real estate agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we do have a history of home ownership, wins, the losses, but now we can tell our story to not only African Americans, but all Americans, that home ownership was one of the best decisions for our entire family. It's the biggest asset that we have. And I've always told the kids, we left y'all Jesus and the house. You got to do something with both of them. So, so at this point, it is homeownership is a story that needs to be told, and it is a history that has been complex, just like our own individual stories have been complex. Our family histories have been. My grandma has owned a home, but she owned the home because my grandfather almost lost the home. So, it does, the story has to be told, and the shells, our original slogan was the shells close sales, but we're going to change it. We want to, our what we share with our buyers and our sellers, just trust the process.
Trust the process.
Trust the process and trust God. And that's how we feel about the statistics. From the 30s to now, the Black community has had to trust God, and we can continue to trust the process, even in some dark, complex times with lending institutions, the predatory lending. We've all been there. But if we get stuck there, the next generation won't have their story to tell. Our daughter and our children will have their own story to tell because we shared and lived our story.
Yeah. So, thank you for that. We're almost at the end of our time, but I did want to squeeze this question in. So, have you worked with any clients whose home ownership journey was especially inspiring?
Yes, we had an individual who had a tough time in life, had issues and run-in with the law, but had turned their life around, and they wanted to purchase a home. So we journeyed with them, we spoke with them, we sent them to a lender, and throughout the process, it was hard. I mean, it was a challenge because we would show them a house and I want to bid, but I don't want this house. Can you cancel the contract? But seeing the success of this person purchasing this home, it made we gave a little warm feeling and goose feelings, So, and that's what we like to do.
Because he shared with us, he was the first generation of homeowner in his entire family.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know that. He just said he wanted to purchase a home, but he said his parents had never purchased a home. His grandparents had never purchased. So he was first generational homeowner with Terrell and I. And so we were very proud of him for setting a goal. And when you looked at him physically on the outside, you would think he don't look like he should be buying a house. But he did. And he was smart and he was sharp. So just overall, you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, you can't. No, you can't. And that brings up another important thing here. There's rules and regulations and laws that prevent us from, quote unquote, judging a book by its cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, from a lender standpoint, I also know that there's the equal housing opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Those all have legislation where if you're a licensed professional, even a landlord, or you can't discriminate under certain classes. Some of the classes are gender, marital status, religion, race,
Disability.
disability, the fact that you're receiving public assistance, you can't discriminate against that. I mean, there's a whole list of things that we as real estate professionals cannot discriminate against, which was not there back in the 30s when redlining was present. So the whole journey for the lending institutions and the real estate community all together, those legislations came in to make the playing field even for everybody, no matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from, what you believe, your makeup. It doesn't matter. Everybody's got the equal opportunity to come in and apply for a loan. It was just interesting. I was talking to somebody. It was my hairdresser, by the way. Christy, if you're listening, hello. I was just getting my hair cut last night. You like that fade?
You crispy. You crispy.
It's crispy right now. Give it 2 weeks and it won't be. I was talking to Christy last night, and she says, one of her neighbors or friends or whatever it was, she's like, she's 80 years old and says that she can't apply for a loan. I said, that is not right. We cannot discriminate against age. It doesn't matter. So it does. There's protective classes that we absolutely cannot. We can lose our license if we do that. But does it happen? I would still say, sadly, yes. And
is there much policy that still needs to be enacted? I would highly say yes. And so when policies and information is translated, change can happen. But it's change agents like you who say you stopped a red line happening and a discrimination encounter happening right at that moment. I had a client last night. She's in her 30s, single mom. She was like, I don't think I can afford a home. You can afford a home. Let me show you how. Each one can reach one and stop some of these policies and some of this discrimination, one person at a time.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things I wanted to add is that not only in my family, but I really believe that there's a large percentage of Black Americans that have served in the military. And a lot of these veterans don't even know about all the programs that the government has available to help people purchase homes.
Yeah, the VA loan program for veterans is one of the best loan programs that are out there. It's no money down, no credit score minimum. There's no mortgage insurance on that loan. It's a fantastic benefit. And we're talking about education. I think the veterans are one of the groups that we really have to reach out to, because there's this benefit that, like what Carl said, they don't even know about it. Right. So there's a reach out opportunity there for us. So, hey guys, we always like to try to keep our podcast less than 30 minutes. And I think we've reached our time. Man, I wish we had more time. I could talk to you guys forever. I mean, this is just so much fun for me. And having such a fun loving couple like you and, my co-host kicking it with me.
Joe, I love you, and the shows, I love you guys as well.
Love you guys too.
We love you both.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and let's enjoy Black History Month, and not just this month, but for all the months out of the year. Take care, peace, love. Take care, success. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Real Estate Ripple. We hope you're walking away with some valuable insights and a fresh perspective on the world of real estate.
Be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Whether you're on the go or closing deals, we've got you covered every week.
And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd love for you to leave a review and share the Real Estate Ripple with fellow realtors, lenders, and anyone who wants to stay ahead of ever-changing market.
Until next time, keep making waves in real estate and remember, every ripple counts.